So here we have hot wallet. So it is connected to the internet. So it may be a mobile or web or desktop applications. So initially we have features of the blockchain addresses. So if we come to the features, so it is going to store public and private keys securely. So each network node validate the transaction using the mechanism such as proof of work. Hello everyone, myself Chandana C, Faculty of Computer Science Department, Vidyashram First Grade College, Temple of Excellence, Mysuru. So today we are in the subject blockchain technology in the Unit 2 session, so which contains the topic that is cryptography in blockchain. So in the last video we discussed regarding the session 1, okay. So in that we discussed what do you mean by cryptography. So what are the advantages of using the cryptography in blockchain. So those things we studied in the last session. So in this session we are going to know about the wallets and blockchain addresses, blockchain security concepts, double spending problem and 51% attack, and also the privacy and security issues what we are facing in the cryptography in blockchain. Okay, so these are the topics today we are going to discuss in this session. So let us discuss about the wallets. So in this session we are starting with the what do you mean by wallets and the blockchain addresses. So first thing we will know about what do you mean by this blockchain wallets. So it is a digital applications, or we can say it is a device where it is used to store, manage and by using the cryptographic keys. Okay. So blockchain wallet is nothing but it is a digital application. So where we are using this, so it is used to store, manage and also using the public key and private key, that is a cryptographic keys. So it allows users to send, receive and manage the cryptocurrencies. Okay. So this is what the blockchain wallet means. Wallet stores a public and private keys, not the actual cryptocurrency. So which remains recorded on the blockchain. Okay. So how it is going to work, the wallet? So the wallet generates a public key as well as a private key. The public key is used to create a blockchain address. So whereas a private key, it is used to sign the transactions and authorize the spending of the funds. Okay. So where the wallet contains both the public and private key. So public key, it is used to create the blockchain addresses, where the private key, it is used to sign the transactions because to authorize the spending the funds. Okay. So this is how the wallets works. Let us discuss about the types of wallets. So how many different types of wallets we have? So here we have hot wallet. So it is connected to the internet. So it may be a mobile or web or desktop applications. Okay. So it is convenient but more vulnerable. Security is less in the hot wallet. So next we have the cold wallet. It is offline storage. So hence we can say it's a hardware wallet, for example, and paper wallets. That means QR codes, okay, what it is stored in the paper. Next, it is more secure. It is used for long-term storage. Which one? Cold wallet. Next, custodial wallet. It's a private key managed by third party. Example, in the exchange. Non-custodial wallet, user has full control of their own private keys. Next, we have hardware wallet. It is a physical device storing keys offline. Example, ledger or Trezor. So at last, we have the paper wallet. Here, keys are printed or written physically. So it is completely offline. So these are the different types of wallets we have. That is hot wallet, cold wallet, custodial wallet, non-custodial wallet, hardware wallet as well as paper wallet. Next, we will move on to the blockchain addresses. So what do you mean by this blockchain addresses? So this address is a unique alphanumeric identifier. It is generated from the user's public key. It is used to receive the cryptocurrencies from other users. So for example, our bank account number. If I give a bank account number to my friend, so he is going to send money to that bank account number. Okay, so here the bank account number acts like a public key, uses public key. Okay, so hence this is a simple example. We can take it for the blockchain addresses. So for example, see, this is a blockchain address. It's the alphanumeric identifier. Why we say alphanumeric? It contains both alphabets as well as numbers. See, you can observe here. So it's used for sending the cryptocurrency as well as for receiving the cryptocurrency. So where this blockchain address is used? Sending and receiving the cryptocurrency. Hence, this is a alphanumeric number, okay, identifier. Next, what are the features or importance of this blockchain addresses? So initially we have features of the blockchain addresses. So if we come to the features, so it is going to store public and private keys securely. It enables the sending and receiving the cryptocurrencies. It signs the transactions using the private key. So it allows users to check the balance as well as transaction history. So which blockchain addresses. So these are the some of the features which comes under the blockchain addresses. Next, why it is important? Because it protects the user's digital assets. Then it ensures the secure ownership of cryptocurrency. It enables a safe and authenticated blockchain transactions. It gives users full control over their funds through their private keys. Okay, so these are the importance of the blockchain addresses. So next we have the blockchain security concepts. So how we can provide the security? So which are the methods we can use to provide the security for the blockchain? So here blockchain security so refers to it is a technique as well as mechanism, we can say. It's a technique and mechanism. It is used to protect the blockchain networks as well as transactions as well as data from unauthorized access or fraud and also from the cyber attacks. Okay, so how we can give the security? For what are the purposes? So we can give the security for our networks as well as transactions or as well as data from whom we want a security for those from unauthorized access or cyber attacks or a fraud. Okay, so this is a technique or a mechanism we can use. First thing is, so cryptography, that means converting or encrypting a data from a readable data to a unreadable format, that is ciphertext. Okay, so by doing this we can save our data. Next, decentralization. That means each and every participant in a blockchain is having its own ledger. Hence, they can see the transactions will be clearly visible to all. It's a transparent one. Okay. Next, consensus mechanism is its cross checks. Consensus mechanism cross checks whether the transactions is done through the verified person or it is accessed by authorized persons, like that. Okay, consensus mechanism. Proof of work. It checks the method in the proof of work. Next, we have immutability. So once the data is recorded, the transaction data or it may be any, it cannot be changed or altered. Hence, we can say it's immutable. Next, digital signatures. Yes, by downloading or uploading our files to a government websites or anything. So digital signatures are must and should. Okay. So next, hash functions. For each transactions, it is going to, so for each and every transactions, the hash functions is going to create a hash number for the each blocks. So hence there will be no duplicates or no loss of data or a blocks. Next, transparency. As the blockchain is a decentralization, so the transparency is more. That is, each and every participant can visible the transactions. So what is happening? So which block is added? So how much transaction is done? So these things can be visible to all the participants in a blockchain. Hence, transparency is more. Next, access control. So there is no central authority to control the access of all the participants. Okay, it's a decentralized. Okay, each and every participants will be have their own access control. So these are the some of the concepts we can use for the security purpose in the blockchain to secure our networks or transactions or a data from unauthorized users or a fraud or else cyber attacks. Okay. Next, we have the importance of blockchain security. So what is the importance of this blockchain security. Why we need the importance? Because it protects the data from unauthorized changes. Then it prevents the fraud and double spending. Next, ensures the secure and trustworthy transactions. Maintains the data integrity as well as transparency. It increases user confidence in blockchain system. So these are some of the importance of the blockchain security. So next, double spending problem. So what do you mean by this double spending problem? It is a risk that the same digital currency could be spent more than once. So since digital data can be copied easily, user may try to use the same cryptocurrency in multiple transactions. That means we can say it's a double sending problem. The same digital currency will be sending to two persons or more than once at the same time. Okay, so how this double spending problem is going to occur? So a user owns one cryptocurrency coin. So the user sends the same coin to two different recipients at nearly the same time. Without proper verification, both transactions might appear valid. Okay, so this results in fraud because the same coin has been sent twice. So this is how the double spending problem is going to occur. So how one user, he will be having one cryptocurrency coin. The same coin will be sent to two different recipients at the same time. Okay, so without a proper verification, the transaction might appear to be a valid. So hence the result is going to be a fraud. So the same coin has been spent twice. Hence this problem we can say as a double spending problem. So this is how it is going to occur. So how this blockchain is going to prevent this double spending problem? So through the consensus mechanism. So each network nodes validate the transaction using the mechanism such as proof of work. Okay, so that means POW or proof of stake. So transaction verification. Next point is transaction verification. So every transaction is verified before it is added to the blockchain. So next we have the distributed ledger. That means all nodes are going to maintain the same transaction history. So making the duplicate spending easy to detect. Okay, so if the same coin has been sent to two different recipients, then it will be easily detected. Next, we have block confirmations. So once the transaction is confirmed and added to the block, then it is difficult to reverse or duplicate. So this is how the blockchain is going to avoid the double spending problem. Next, we have 51% attack. So what does this 51% attack means? So it is a security attack, so in which single miner or a group of miners gains more than 50% of the blockchain network's total computing power. That is, we call it as hash power or stacking power. Okay, with this majority control, they can manipulate the blockchain by controlling the transaction validation process. So this we call it as a 51% attack. So this is a security attack. So where a single miner or a group of miners, so they can gain a 50% of the blockchain network's total computing power or a hash power, okay, or stacking power. So with this majority control, so they can manipulate the data or a blockchain by controlling the transactions validation process. So this we call it as a 51% attack. So how this 51% attack works? So an attacker, he gains a control more than the 50%. That means half of the network's mining or a stacking power. So this attacker, he is going to create a new blocks faster than the rest of the network. What he is going to do? He creates a new blocks faster than the rest of the network. They can reverse their own recent transactions and perform the double spending. So honest miners' blocks may be rejected because the attacker's chain becomes the accepted chain. Okay, so this is how the 51% attack works. So first thing, attacker, he is going to control more than half of the network's mining. Okay. So once the attacker, he is going to create that new block faster than the rest of the other networks. So the attacker can reverse their own recent transaction and perform the double sending. So he can reverse the transaction which occurs later, and he can send the same Bitcoin or the same transaction to other person or a other recipient. So the honest miners, they may block or be rejected because the attacker's chain becomes the accepted chain. Okay, so this is how the 51% attack works. So next, what are the effects of this 51% attack? So it enables the double spending of cryptocurrencies because they are going to reverse the transaction, right? So hence, it's going to enable the double spending of cryptocurrency. It delays the block's transaction confirmation, and it reduces the trust in the blockchain network, and it can be temporarily prevent other miners from adding valid blocks. So these are some of the effects of 51% attack. So next, what a 51% attack cannot do. What it cannot do to a blockchain. So it cannot create a new coins out of thin air. That means beyond some protocol rules. It cannot reverse transaction that occurred before they gain majority control. So since they have got only half of the control over the blockchain, hence they cannot reverse the transaction. Okay, so deeply confirmed blocks. So hence they cannot reverse the transaction so that occurred before they gained the majority control. They cannot steal funds from other users' wallets because they cannot forge the digital signature without their private key. So in 51% attack, so these things they cannot do. The hackers cannot do in the 51% attack. Okay. Next, what are the prevention we can take to secure our transactions or our data? So increase the number of miners or validators to make majority control difficult. Use a secure and decentralized consensus mechanisms. Encourage wide distributions of mining or staking power. Continuously monitor the network for unusual activity. So these are some of the steps we can take to prevent the hackers from the 51% attack. Okay. So next, privacy and security issues in blockchain. So what are some of the privacy and security issues we can maintain in a blockchain? So as blockchain provides a strong security, but it is also going to face some of the several privacy and security challenges. Primarily because most public blockchains are transparent by the design. So what are the key privacy concerns we have? Transaction traceability. So entire transaction history of an address is publicly visible and it is permanently recorded. Next is address clustering. Multiple addresses can be linked to a single entity through behavioral analysis. Metadata leakage. IP addresses and timing data during the transaction broadcast to reveal a user identity or a location of a user. Smart contract transparency. That means contract code and interactions are publicly visible on a platforms called Ethereum. So these are some of the privacy concerns we can see in the blockchain. So next we will look into what are some of the technique we can use in the privacy enhancing solutions. The first technique we have here is a zero knowledge proofs. So it's going to prove a statement is true without revealing underlying data. Okay. Next we have ring signatures. It mixes a user's signature among a group and hiding the true signers. Next we have coin joining or mixing services. That means it combines multiple users' transactions to obscure the trail. So next we have the stealth addresses. It generates a unique one-time address for each transaction. At last, we have the confidential transactions. That means it hides the transaction amounts while still allowing the validations. So these are some of the techniques we can use for the privacy enhancing solutions in blockchain. So next we have security issues. So what are some of the key security issues we can see in a blockchain? The first thing is private key loss or a theft. Okay, so this is a major security issues we can see. So if user loses their private key, so funds are going to be permanently inaccessible. So if stolen, then the funds can be irreversibly taken. Next we have smart contract bugs. So poorly written smart contracts, so they can be exploited. Okay, next phishing and social engineering. So what does it mean? It means the user is tricked into revealing private keys or seed phrases. So nowadays also we get a call from unauthorized users, right? So we don't know who is that person. So he will call, I'm calling from a bank or anything. So give me this OTP or what is your account number. So like that he is going to call and get your OTP or a key. Okay. So this is how, so if phishing and social engineering, that means users are going to be tricked into revealing their private keys. Okay. Next, exchange hacks. That means centralized exchange holding the large amount of user funds are attractive targets. Next, quantum computing threat. That means future quantum computers could theoretically break current ECC or RSA cryptography, then threatening blockchain security long term. Then consensus attacks like 51% attacks and selfish mining and similar attacks on the consensus layer. Network level attacks. So Sybil attacks, Eclipse attacks, then DDoS attacks on nodes. So these are some of the security issues we can see in the blockchain. Then how we can overcome by these security issues? So we have some of the best practices for the security. So which are those? Use hardware cold wallet for storing significant funds. So instead of using hot wallet, use cold wallet to store the significant funds. Never share the private keys or seed phrases to anyone. Okay. Next, conduct smart contract audits before it is deployment. Use multi-signature or multi-sign wallets. So it's requiring multiple approvals for the transaction. So instead of doing one signature, so go with the multi-signature. Okay, stay updated with security patches and best practices. So these are some of the best practices we can practice for the security. So till now we discussed regarding the wallets and blockchain addresses, and then what do you mean by 51% attack and double spending problem, and also we looked into some of the privacy and security issues in a blockchain. So in the next session, I'm going to discuss regarding the unit 3, that is cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin. Till then, keep studying. Thank you.